Welcome, everyone, to another episode of the PLA podcast. I have an incredible guest here that I'm looking forward to interviewing today on the podcast. Akash, welcome. It's so lovely to have you on here.
Thank you, Dunya. I'm equally blessed to be here, spending my evening with you.
It's a true treat. And I would love to formally introduce you to our audience that hasn't had the absolute privilege of getting to know you like we have had at PLA. So I want to run them through a little bit of your story. Today, we're talking to Akash Yellappa. Today, we're talking to an incredible senior principal engineer at Kelly, MBA candidate, who has built technology solutions for major companies, including Cummins, Goldman Sachs, and JP Morgan. He currently leads a team focused on improving equipment reliability using IoT telemetry and advanced engineering practices. He is also a dedicated mentor guiding rising engineers and helping shape the next generation of technical leaders. Alongside his corporate work, he is pursuing an entrepreneurial vision in India aimed to creating opportunities for underserved communities. At his core, he is a problem solver, a family man, and someone who deeply believes in using technology, leadership, and education to transform lives and build pathways for others. Akash, welcome to the PLA podcast. It's a true treat.
Thank you, Dunya. Thanks for the introduction. Yeah, happy to be here. Um, if you want me to say anything, I'll do it. Otherwise, we can get started.
Please go for it if you want to open up with some thoughts, and then I'm going to ask you my first question.
Absolutely. So, all that you said was great, but I also want to add that it's been like 17 years working in technology. Uh, it's been great, like solving new challenges every day. It's also been a fantastic experience, like being in a country which has given me a lot of opportunities to express myself and contribute in many ways. And I'm also, really thankful for all the great mentors and all the great managers and teammates who shaped me and my career. And really happy how things have been going for me uh, especially after onboarding with PLA. I'm really glad to be doing this interview or the podcast with you today, Um and I'm feeling really, really comfortable doing this. And thank you so much for creating such a nice environment for me to really open up myself. And I hope I do a good job talking to you
I'm
today.
I'm sure of it, Akash. It's a true treat, and I'm excited. I'm excited for us to dive deeper into your experience in the U.S. and all these years in tech, and especially in what you're doing, giving back to, this next generation in India for the underserved. I'm really excited to dive into that. So, my first question for you today is: knowing everything that you know now and this incredible experience, I would love to know, had someone given you a piece of advice at the very beginning of your career, what do you wish it had been?
Oh, yeah, sure. So, what I would tell my younger self, if I could, or if anybody had given me this piece of information, I think I would wanted to be a person who would think about going about my day-to-day work or approaching anything in my life in a more holistic way than taking it as just a technical challenge. Because early on in your career, you would want to, like, really take the tough challenges and prove yourself, right? So you start thinking, everything that comes your way is going to be highly technical, and you would, like, keep seeking, just keep chasing things which are technical, and you just want to prove your technical prowess. But I think what really would simplify things, and it's also right, all challenges that you take on are not easy. So there'll be times where you will get the rush of learning new things, experimenting new things, but at the same time you're going to be disappointed of if you don't really crack it. So it becomes like a constant vicious cycle of taking on new things, trying out new different things. And either you hit a roadblock and feel frustrated about, or you crack it and you feel elated, all of those things. But over a period of time, it stops giving you the kind of rush, and it stops giving you the kind of satisfaction. And I think what satisfaction truly comes from is, you know, doing it consistently, and feeling good about what you did. So approaching something with pace, and with short amount of time, doing things is one way of getting the rush. But consistently doing good work and building your skill set is something which is long term, I feel. So if early on somebody had told me, like, every time a challenge is thrown at you, if you could think about how to do it like in a holistic way, why it is asked, what is the significance of the work you're doing, where does it sit in the puzzle, and who is it going to help you, and overall, like, what is the bigger vision of the product. So those things, but also comes with a little bit of maturity. But I think if somebody had asked me to, like, stress upon those things early on in my career, I think I would be a lot more satisfied, and be a much more well-rounded person, is what I think.
Yeah. I love that piece around that consistency. There, you're right in the sense where there are going to be roadblocks and challenges, and some of them we're going to crack, as you've mentioned. Some of them we're going to be able to break through and get some incredible results. And some of them we will get disappointed and discouraged, but continuously showing up and doing the work and staying consistent really can build that level of satisfaction we're talking about. And what it comes up as you're sharing this as a thought is building a relationship to the process and not always to the results, because the results can be disappointing in the process.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, truly, it's if whatever you get out of accomplish, or get the satisfaction you get out of accomplishing something, uh, you know is more rounded when you, like, really understand the problem, and if you get as basic as possible, because if you can translate it to, like, what it means to a layman, what it means to the customer you're trying to help, right there, I think you would approach the problem in a completely different way. You would not think about solving it, but there's, like, so many other things that emotions are added onto it. The kind of accomplishment that comes when you really know that it actually made its true value when it hit the customer, and the customer was able to accomplish something. All of those aspects put into the mixture really makes it more meaningful, right? Just write a database query. Yeah, you'd go about writing a database query, and you'll feel good that, oh, it's doing great. Your boss is happy. But if you really understand, like, how it is impacting the overall application, where it's in the application, what feature does it really impact, and what user uses this feature, and by using this feature, what are they trying to achieve? Like, are they trying to save something, or trying to save someone's life, or trying to save someone's life, and not just life or death, but maybe you're trying to help a student get the best credit card, or best financial tool. So all of these, metadata around the actual problem you're trying to solve will make it more holistic. And I think you will get really close to this technical space. You'll get very comfortable, and you'll start talking from the value perspective. You always talk like, okay, where is this adding value, and how is that I can approach. And most of the challenges we tackle in the industry are not always technical, and more often than not, it's a problem that somebody has already solved, right? So it's about how we approach things, rather than getting the things done in a fairly short amount of time, and impressing people, right?
Yeah. And that there you brought up something key in this is understanding the greater picture.
Mhm.
Understanding the greater picture and the impact of what you are doing on the greater whole, whether it's the client, whether it's the organization, whether it's what the organization is trying to achieve, rather than just focusing on the task and the direct person that might be impacted. Literally looking at the greater image of, okay, what is this actually going to do long term? What is this doing in the grand scheme of things? Can connect us a lot more to our work. This brings me to my next question, though, of oftentimes we look at our careers and oftentimes think about the achievements, think about all these great things. But as you've mentioned, oftentimes it's those moments where we didn't crack the code, we didn't break through. With the times we are frustrated that bring up a lot of challenges, but have us grow. What were the biggest challenges for you in your career that really forced you to grow through them?
Hmm. Yeah, absolutely. What I can think of is like, I mean, obviously there are like several technical challenges that from time to time I face. At some point, doing a piece of a piece of code which does things the most efficient way, because I was transmitting terabytes of data over to another database. In the process, I was doing a lot of transformation. uh, I was using PHP, and it kind of brought like a 8 core or 16 core processor you know to its knees when I tried to do it. But I had to like quickly invent doing it in using another programming language, learn it in like 2 to 3 weeks, and write this entire uh, piece in a short amount of time. And then it did like what would have ideally taken like months of you know weeks, if not months, of processing to 8 days. So which was great. But I think that again is not that challenging if you think of it. It's my challenges, like at some point in my career, I think something is was really challenging, but pretty soon like I come across another challenge which will kind of make the previous challenge look like a joke, right? So it happens. Like I can give you another example, like um, interviews. At some point, like cracking one interview was a challenge, but I kind of got really good at it, and I would do a lot of interviews, and I was just testing the waters. And then it so happened like solving cracking interviews was not one of the challenges that I kind of was difficult for me. But I still remember like in my first job, although I did an internship, uh, getting back to the company I did an internship was one of the toughest challenges, because uh, I did 3 rounds of interviews, 6 panels, and I crashed out. And I thought it was okay. It was I was not ready for it, so I went about doing another job which I already had an offer. And then another referral came through. A friend of mine referred, and I was interviewed again. And I was reluctant to do the interview, but my mom was like, "Yeah, you should try." Then interviews after interviews, I think it went for like 13 rounds, and then I finally got the offer. But at that time, I was like, "No, I did it just for like I wanted to prove that I would get the job." And now that I got it, I don't want to take it, right? But my mom was like, "No, I know how disappointing it was for you when you crashed the first time, but this time you'll have to take it." So I ended up taking it. Um, so that was at that point the most challenging thing that I had taken. But when I went to the orientation, I came across people who had done 60 rounds of interview. So my 13 rounds seemed minuscule in front of the 60 round person. So but what I would say is like from time to time things have been really challenging, but over a course of like a career as big as mine, like 17 years, you would find ways. You would find ways to transcend the challenge, and when you do that, you will feel yeah, you did it, so you are capable of it. And that's how you build your confidence over a period of time. And and that's how you kind of gain the wisdom that you would want to pass on to the people who are new to the industry.
Absolutely. I'm curious, so much is changing in the industry, especially in tech, but in all industries, really, with the onset of AI. And I'd love to get your perspective on, how has that been from your eyes, from your experience? How have you seen it shift things?
Sure. So there was always a gap between how humans would think and how machines would perceive things, right?
Yeah.
So up until the last 5 6 years before the advent of AI has been there for a long time, but with OpenAI, things took a new form altogether. But until then, like computers did something which human would want them to do, but at really grand scale and fast. With this fast processing, we would think, uh, you know, computer is really smart and it's able to, do something human would want them to do at really grand scale. So that's how we started about automating everything. Like an ordering system, a human being would take like 5 days to completely see an ordering from end to end. Now it would happen in minutes, right? But the computer was just able to do what the human wanted it to do. It had no capabilities. But with the advent of AI, I think that gap where a human wants the computer to do something and human thinks that he wants computer to do something, and he or she would just put in words and the computer is able to do it, right? So we shrunk that gap between previously we had to tell computer exclusively what we have to say. Now the computer is so adapted. We make the computers adapt to what the human wants, and we give instructions in the way we think, and the computer knows what we want, right? So we shrunk the gap, and we created a lot of value in doing it, because not everybody knows how to program, not everybody knows how to make things work on a computer. But with the advent of AI, with the LLMs, with the natural language processing, we are able to like put in simple words and make the machine do the things for us, right? But again, it's still in a nascent stage. Pretty soon the computers start investing their part of learning and get better at themselves. So I think pretty soon it's going to be a very accelerated growth, and we're going to see it becomes challenging for the humans to kind of fathom the growth. At some point it might get so accelerated that we might lose control over it, right? uh, these computers are like, or the AI agents are like so smart that if you want them to mask something, right? If you want always the AI agent to give you a rosy picture of something, and kind of train it to like mask or hide the things that you don't want to portray, under the hood it is getting itself trained to only do the positive things and mask the negative things,
Yeah.
right? It's like, Scott Hanselman was saying that it is a reflection of what you are, right? You ask the agent, you train the agent, you tell the agent what you like, you tell the agent what you don't like. So
Yep.
while you do all of these things, it is learning the good things that you want, it is masking the bad things that it should not show you. So ultimately it gets really bad at really good at masking the bad things. That's where the trouble comes in.
Yeah. It can be
So
quite biased in what we're feeding through what we're feeding it.
exactly. So we got to be really responsible how we interact with it. If we train it to be someone who wants to like filter out all the bad parts, it really gets good at it. But and at that point, if you really want a true opinion, you're not going to get it,
Yeah.
right? So we have to be really responsible how we train the AI models today.
Yeah, it's interesting. The more you describe it, the more I can notice in certain answers it being highly agreeable. And instead of being quite honest and even challenge some of these prompts that we feed it. So it is something to definitely keep in mind, especially for those that are using it for their day-to-day tasks and questions continuously without really taking the time to analyze what are the responses they're getting and
Mhm.
where might it be falling short in terms of the quality of response, maybe even the accuracy.
Yep, yep, absolutely, yeah. And I think all of us have a great role and responsibility, how to kind of develop and train this model. And I hope that humans are going to be uh, those responsible creatures which are not going to take this lightly, and think about the greater good for the mankind, than just these companies are profit driven companies are trying to invent something which only thinks in one way of how to make the company more richer than actually really helping out the greater good of the humanity. Yeah.
With Kesha, it brings me to my next question for sure. Is what's
Mhm.
one problem in society you feel personally responsible for solving?
uh, yeah, well, I mean, this is really personal to me. Um, what I think, like I have a little one, I have a 4 year old daughter, like almost 4 years old daughter. What I personally think is I'm really responsible for her life and all the kids of her age, right? The biggest challenge we have today is the infiltration of the social media and screen time into kids' life, right? We got to be responsible. I walk everywhere and it's becoming insanely challenging for me
Yeah.
and my wife to keep the social media and the screen out of her life. We have succumbed to it. We still give her like 1 hour screen time every day, but I think that's where I morally feel that I'm responsible to keep kind of create that space for children, to keep all of these distractions out. That at some point we're going to crave for it. We're going to crave that our kids can spend the time with us. We're going to crave that our kids have, can not be that distracted by the gadgets and the interference, and have the face-to-face interaction. So I keep thinking about it all the time, and what comes to me is like, uh, I sometimes wish that we come up with, or like, I mean, I think I need to take the responsibility of creating those old flip phones, like the number dials. You know, you can't give a child with like a proper computer in their hands when they're little. So I know that the urge to have give your child a phone so that you can still establish conversations when they're away. That is good, but not like a smartphone which has all these kind of distractions. So maybe that I feel like I'm morally responsible to create this kind of a movement where we all go and like have the phone companies to like reintroduce the flip phones, and at least have like three or four or five numbers that child can reach out to, and no other conversation that can happen on the phone, right?
There's a craving of going backwards through history with technology now. And I think part of it is it's moving and advancing at such a rapid rate that we're not quite prepared for how to handle it and how to introduce it really to our children in a way that's digestible and really optimized for their growth, for their well being. I think you're asking some great questions, and it'll be very interesting to see how the world evolves.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. I mean, I'm a 90s kid, and my pastime was like, just walk. And we lived right next to a huge park, like 50, 60 acres park. And our routine was like on vacation, just wake up and get ourselves lost in the park and only show up late evening. We would be bruised. We would, had like multiple injuries, but we would still not show up to the house. We'd only come only when, the sun fades, and we didn't care if we had had the food or not, but we were there, like, and we really enjoyed. It's not like that we all failed. This technology is good, but with technology comes the addiction, and that's where I think we're gonna lose, or like we're gonna fail as mankind, right? Feeding kids technology at the small age is what I think is the need of the hour, and all of us should work towards.
Beautiful, Akash. And I think that's wonderful. I'm curious to know what my favorite question on the podcast to ask is what is the legacy and impact you're looking forward to leaving behind in the world?
Sure, absolutely. So I think legacy is a big word, but I'd like to, if at all, if I'm able to, influence and make such an impact in people's life, they would want to like follow me, and they want to take in the wisdom or the words I leave. I think I'd like to create not just a product, but like a platform, a framework where it lives on. You might create a product, but there's always a 2.0, 3.0, 5.0, 10.0 versions which keeps coming. But the entire, like, creating the iPhone was a revolutionary uh, product. It kind of changed the way people perceive things. So I think I need to want to make an impact like that, and eventually want people to remember that, like Steve Jobs did, right? Think about a smartphone. First thing comes to your mind is Steve Jobs. Nobody thinks about iPhone 6 versus 7, or like 4 versus 4S. No one thinks about it, but creating such a framework, so it changes the way the people perceive. that's one thing. But also, like, on the I also want to, like, really give back to the society. If you think of it, if I'm able to, like, provide education to like 10 kids, uh, I think that would be like a real contribution to the society. If I'm able to, like, provide for 10 kids who can't today, I think that's ultimately what I would want to do. My father was a police officer, and he really helped a lot of people in his career spanning 33 years. And I always think that he would be a more satisfied man of having helped so many people than I would be after doing 6 years of, or whatever, like when I retired at 60, 65. I would be, because I'm not sure if I would have touched the lives of people like the way he did. But I think I do have a scope with technology. I think it propagates really faster. I think that if I'm able to, like, create a system where I would be able to connect people to the right resource and help at least 10 people in my life directly to change their lives, I think that I would consider as a big achievement. uh, so that's where the intent or the motivation to start an enterprise in India. I'm working towards it. I'm in the process of realizing something like that. I'm working with my brother back in India. If it all comes to fruition, then I think I would be able to pull off my uh, what can I say? I'd basically be able to, like, give back to the society in the way that I felt I want to. So yeah, I'm working towards it. Let's see. It takes a decade or so. It's like a long term plan, but I'm working towards it.
Beautiful, Gash. And it goes to show your tremendous heart of being able to give back and have so much impact. And I just want to thank you really for your time today and joining us on the PLA podcast. It's been an absolute treat hearing your story, your insights, your experience. And for all those who are tuning in for their very first episode of the PLA podcast and don't have the information or know a little any more about PLA, I'm going to put out a QR code on the screen. And this is the workshop that the founders have put together with so much value, and they continuously host. So many of us have been so often. I have gone a tremendous amount of times and gotten so much value, and I'm blown away really by what's being put out, totally for free, by the way. Even if you never hear of PLA again, I recommend everyone to at least go try it out and get the tools that are being so generously given by the founders themselves that are hosting this incredible workshop. And I remind everyone at the end of each episode. So just putting that out there just in case someone is curious or interested, just wanted a little bit more information about it. Akash, thank you so much for your wonderful presence on today's episode. And it's been an absolute treat having you on. Looking forward to having you on as a guest again in the future.
It's my pleasure, Dunya. I really enjoyed my time today, spending my evening with you, and really thank you and PLA for giving me this opportunity. And I hope, if after if, hearing this podcast, if anybody wants to reach out to me, most welcome. And I hope that it reaches someone who would benefit from this. And thank you once again for giving me this tremendous opportunity.
Oh, it's an absolute pleasure, Akash, and looking forward to it. And to everyone tuning in, thank you once again. And we'll catch you all for the next episode of the PLA podcast. Have a beautiful evening, everyone.
Good day.